Hey, welcome to the show, guys. We are live,
Hey,
live, live.
what's up?
Welcome. See, look at that, how fancy we're getting. um,
Whoa!
we are here, Horror Metal Cast, episode 35. I'm Stevie, and I'm
Wow.
here with my wonderful co-host, Young Joseph. How are you doing tonight, sir?
What's up, people? I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing good. We got a lot of really cool stuff to talk about tonight. Uh,
Oh, hell yeah. We got
and
some stuff.
while we do that, I'm going to enjoy a nice hot cup of coffee in the middle of the summer. Probably make everybody crazy, but I love my coffee.
Oh
So,
no, hey,
uh,
you got to have your coffee. That's the one thing I can say about not being pregnant anymore, aside from being able to drink wine again, but is having multiple cups of coffee a day. I did that very much because you're supposed to be limited or whatever. Um,
yeah, yeah,
my child is fine, and I would have two a day, so
right,
whatever.
yeah.
But people are probably going to shun me and tell me what a piece of shit I am just for having two cups of coffee when I'm pregnant. But anyway, guys,
Anyway,
this is going to be a really cool show. We're going to be tonight on the show. Make sure you stick around for the whole episode because we are going to be talking about not one, but two new movies that just came out. And well, not just, but they just came to Netflix. And then we're going to be talking about a awesome laundry list of horror films that are either about or prominently feature heavy metal in them. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get to that shortly. Just real quick, couple of things that we'll talk about beforehand. Joe said that there's a lot of cool stuff coming to Netflix that he's looking forward to that he wanted to talk
yeah,
about real quick.
yeah. Well, I have no names yet, but I saw trailers for things. I just got to do a little bit more homework, Stevie, on that. And but there are some. I did see one eye open, half asleep. I saw a trailer for what looks to be like a half decent horror series coming up. So I got to look into that and find out what
Oh,
that
right,
was.
right. Well, and then
Yeah,
you know what just came out on Sunday was Lovecraft Country.
right.
Um,
We want to watch that. We were talking about
Yes.
that.
Yes. I
Yeah, we
did not
definitely got to
watch
see
it
it.
only because I'm so spoiled by binge watching that I would rather have multiple episodes,
Yeah,
to watch
yeah.
back to back to determine whether or not I like it. And
Right.
that kind of, okay, before we dive into the meat and potatoes of tonight, before we talk about the horror movies that we watched and our list of metal and horror, um, we finished Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what are your thoughts? What are your final thoughts on it?
Like I said, it was a little bit of the very ending was different when they ended up a different. I don't want to give it away for people
Yeah.
that want to watch it. It was just the ending was a lot different than what you would have thought it to be. It was kind of that was about the only creative part to the whole thing. I thought, um, it to me, it lacked breath. It lacked, stamina. It just
Yeah.
kind of like
It
chugged
lacked
along.
originality. It was
Yeah,
it was just a kind of regurgitation of season one. However, the one thing I will applaud it is that it got to the point very quickly, whereas season one kind of dragged a lot for me.
right, right.
I did like season two more than season one, but I can't give it any kudos for bringing anything new to the table. It didn't feel fresh, and it wasn't like watching anything brand new. And
No,
even though the ending of the season brings something new to the table, I do feel that we're going to face the same shit in the third season if there is one.
I don't think there's going to be. I think it just ran out of steam. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because it felt like it was just mailed in. It felt like the writers just kind of like maybe they were forced to write another season, and it was a mailed in thing.
Well,
Just like
so Umbrella Academy is based on a graphic novel that Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance is attached to. So
yeah,
that is where I do believe, that is why I do believe there will be a third season, because MCR has such a big fucking cult following that
yeah,
anything Gerard Way does is like gold. Like the man could take a shit and people
right.
would eat it. You know what I mean? Not like in general. I just mean like his fans would. But like, so that's why I think that people really will rally around Umbrella Academy, is because they're so obsessed with Gerard and with My Chemical Romance, which I'm not going to get into that because I was never an MCR head, but
right.
yeah, I'm pushing myself into the shunning place again. Let me stop. people are going to be like, we're not watching your
I
show
don't
anymore.
like them.
I don't like this woman. Who is
They
this
are not
blasphemous-
good to me.
Who is
You
this
know?
blasphemous whore on YouTube?
You know what though? You should be allowed to express your, opinion without people getting upset over it. I mean, obviously somebody always gets upset over
I
their
know
opinion.
we live
You
in
know,
2020 is the year of the cancel council, as somebody just recently called it that. One of my editors, Tom Brannon, hilarious guy, he called 2020 the members of the cancel council, and I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, yeah, up in the air on that. If there, which I'm sure there will be, a season 3 of Umbrella Academy, I don't think it's going to bring anything new to the table, and I don't know if I'm going to for it. But let's not get wrapped up in that. Let's dive into our first topic of the evening. I know we have viewers because I see the little ticker up here. So fucking say hi. Don't be a shy.
Yeah, come on in, people. Say hello. We're not going to bite you.
First topic of tonight is going to be 1BR, Stand Bedroom. If you haven't seen it, it is available for rent on Amazon Prime and other mediums like iTunes and shit. Or you can watch it now, I believe this week.
It's coming up this week on Netflix.
I have not watched it on Netflix. I watched it on Amazon, but and I believe Joe did as well. But anyway, it's from director David Marmor. I don't know if I'm saying that right, whatever. And it is awesome. Now on IMDb, it's only got a 5.8, but
we froze. We're having technical difficulties. You're back.
Yeah, I've been here. I've just been blabbing away. I don't know.
That's okay. I do that too. Nobody ever listens, but I do it.
Good. Anyway, so like I was saying, it's got a 5.8 on IMDb. But like I don't know if when I cut out, but I'm a reviewer, so I don't trust other reviewers. I trust myself.
Right.
What are your thoughts on it? Because I really enjoyed 1BR.
I thought it was going to be a really slow movie based on the first 10 minutes. And from there, it accelerated immediately to like 0 to 100. And you're immersed in this world that you didn't see coming. And you have no choice but to sit there and watch this. And, you could turn it off, but it'll keep you wrapped. Is what I'm trying to tell you.
It really did hold my attention, and it's hard to hold attention these days. So let's say,
oh look, a squirrel!
Yes, I've joined the squirrel.
But that's something that I look for in the movie immediately because I'm very jumpy and energetic, so I need something to match that. Even at the pace, which to me, for a movie, coming from Godzilla and things like that, it's a little slow, but it's not. It picks up rapidly, and it takes turns that really keep you interested in the storyline because it changes so dramatically. And
I went into it with almost knowing nothing about it. It popped up in an article, I believe it was in my Twitter feed from Bloody Disgusting. And they were like, they said like 3 movies to keep your eyes open for in August, right? Coming to Netflix. And I looked at the article. I said, oh, well, this is out now. I said, let me go ahead and watch this because I got nothing better to do. And from what they had said, 1BR had really good ratings or whatever. So I went into it knowing as little as possible, semi-low expectations. I thought it was going to be like a ghost movie at first because the setup is this girl, Sarah, comes from a small town, moves out to LA. She wants to make it big. Just like, the typical LA story, rents an apartment, small little 1-bedroom, nice neighbors, and starts hearing weird things at night, little things here and there, weird stuff. I thought it was going to be about ghosts.
Yeah.
Then things start to kind of increase in the creep factor, and you're like, oh, so maybe it's a stalker or something, you know what I mean? And then things just get full-blown culty up in this motherfucker, and it gets awesome.
One scene in there that really freaks me out. No, yeah. I'm only gonna say the word stove.
Yeah,
I'm not giving it away, and that is just a horrible. Bad. Yeah, that's a horrible scene. So, if you're looking for, more of a thinker's movie, this is probably up your alley.
But I will say, okay, so there's not a lot of gore,
right?
There's not a whole lot of blood and guts and gore. It is a heavy psychological thriller, but I will say there's a lot of violence in it, so it does ramp up the violence factor, in a big way. And so and it's not unnecessary. I think a lot of the times movies these days have gratuitous amounts of things just because they say, oh, well, we can, so why not? Whereas this movie, there's a point to all of it. Nothing's done needlessly. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good elements to 1BR. And I wouldn't consider this a spoiler, but it is a warning, because I do like to warn people. Like you said, there's the one scene that really upset you. It is
there's
pretty
two, actually.
The only one I can think of is about there is violence. Like, obviously no animals were really harmed, but it does show violence against animals in the film. So I will say that is not cool. Look away or whatever you need to do, fast forward it. But again, it's not needlessly done. It's not
right.
Done in bad taste or whatever. It's all essential to the story. There's a point to all of it.
Right. It's like The Bag, and I don't want to. The Bag toward the end.
Oh, yep. Yes.
I'm not going to say any more.
No. As far as, and we kind of talked about this before the show, as we always do. The ending, for anyone who has ever seen the movie The Invitation, 1BR's ending is very reminiscent of the movie The Invitation, not plot or anything like that. Two totally different plots, don't worry. But just the fact that you're immersed in this world as you're watching, right? And you think it's much smaller than it is, because from a set piece. Okay, so this is a low budget film. They didn't have to spend a whole lot of money on sets and things like that. I mean, think about it. The whole movie takes place in a very small area.
3 bedrooms and a courtyard.
Yeah. I mean, you think it's much smaller than what it is, but it's not. And that's all I'll say.
David Koresh in New York City. And I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to say anymore, because that's almost a spoiler. Almost.
It's a really pleasantly surprising film. I definitely recommend 1BR for horror fans and non-horror fans alike. I genuinely enjoyed it. My review of 1BR is currently up right now on Horror Metal Sounds, so you can read that for yourself. And I said the same thing in my review that I'll say now. I wish not so much a sequel, like a direct sequel, but maybe even a series or like short film or something like that. I would totally watch a follow-up to 1BR.
Oh, yeah.
To explore more of what Sarah, who's the main character, what she's now going to go through. You know what I mean? I would love to see that. I think that would be a really cool follow-up, like even like if it turns into like full-blown dystopian nightmare. I just think that would be really cool.
With her challenging it at the end, I thought that was amazing. Yep. It was just I'm not going to give it away, but that was just a really cool scene.
She ends up being a cool heroine, we'll say that.
Yeah, she's just like, fuck it, going, man. She's not taking any shit. So you'll love her character.
Oh, I think
Very
so. I think people will like her
she
very much.
she looks a little weak in the beginning, but believe me, she comes on strong, and you'll see throughout the movie that she progresses and becomes this monster to deal with, and not somebody you want to trifle with.
Exactly. So, yeah, One BR on Netflix this week, currently available for streaming on other platforms, and it comes from Joseph and I as a recommendation. So, unless you have anything more to say about our creepy cult flick, we will move on to the next one because we still have a lot to talk about tonight. We still have our long list of metal and horror films, and then we've got our second film that is under review this evening, which is We Summon the Darkness.
We summon the dark shit. I mean darkness. That's right. That's what it was. I'm sorry. That was a Freudian slip there, folks.
It wasn't that terrible. Look, I like if something's really bad, I'm gonna fucking call it like it is. I'm gonna be like, look, this fucking was horrible.
Bad.
I think it started. Okay, so hey, Adrian, we got our first talker.
Hey, Adrian, what's up, brother?
There's 5 of you here being lurkers, but so we start off with what there's a term for it in the 80s when that whole anti-metal thing was going on. What was it called?
PMRC.
Huh?
The PMRC.
Okay, yeah. So
I was short bar real quick. I was a victim of the. We'll get to that one day. That's another story, and a good one. But go ahead, continue. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was just saying, so in the 80s, the whole metal scare, the satanic panic or whatever as you call it, that was a real thing. And so that comes up in this movie, We Summon the Darkness. It's based in the 80s. Some friends take a road trip to see a concert, meet up with some guys, and then madness and mayhem ensue as the satanic panic, as Adrian says, hail to the darkness. Over. Going on in the background of the movie is a cult that has been going around the country committing serial murders in the name of the Dark Lord, and of course blaming it on heavy metal music. So that's the premise of the film right there. Don't want to get too far into it. It does involve obviously religion and stuff like that, but I think in a comedic way. It does it in a dark comedy sort of way, and obviously metal. You've got some tropes. Johnny Knoxville's in it. And that right there, nothing against him, but Justin was like, if Johnny Knoxville's in it, it's probably going to be terrible.
Yeah. At one point, the movie goes nautical, which is just kind of like, I mean, what were they thinking when they, how did they get to that point? I mean, do you know what part I'm talking about?
Yeah. So we'll say this. How about, let's just discuss the movie full throttle, open spoilers. So this is
all right.
Look, because it's not the greatest movie, and you're not going to be surprised in the slightest. Because I will say, we saw the ending coming from a mile away. Justin was like, "Oh, she's the preacher's daughter," because it's a trope in a lot of this stuff is that the preacher's daughter is always batshit fucking crazy. You know what I mean? So that's a common trope that does get put on full display. So full disclosure here, we're going to be talking this movie. We're going to go all in on it, spoilers and all. So We Summon the Darkness. I guess mute it or whatever. Tune out if you don't want spoilers.
Well, it's 1980s. If you haven't seen it already, your fault. It's it's a little.
Well, no, it just came out. It's about the 1980s.
Right. It seems like it should have been from the 80s because it was horrible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was a horrible movie.
What I didn't like.
Go ahead.
What I didn't like about it was that they portrayed the girls, okay, who are secretly cult members,
right,
of this like born again crazy let's save your soul thing. So they want to use metal and Satanism as a lure to bring people into their cult and their church. Let's save your soul so that way the cult doesn't kill you, type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
These girls are supposed to be super religious and into God and Jesus and all this shit. But I wasn't sold on it because of how they acted. If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they were smoking joints, drinking. You know, the chick had inverted crosses in her ear. I mean, anybody that's a Christian would.
Yeah, she was saying the fuck word, every other word out of her mouth. You know, any God-fearing typical woman is not going to talk like that. They're not going to drink. They're not going to smoke.
They're not going to stab people in the throat. You know what I mean? Pretty much. That's
too. Yeah. But so they didn't really sell the whole like freak for Jesus thing for me. They weren't real holier than thou. They were just crazy. And I feel like that if they had come out as we're crazy Satanists, that would have sold it for me more, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it totally does, because it just, they were too dirty to be clean. You know, it wasn't something where, you know, you could see them in a different light as you know, something different than what they were, because they were painted in as, you know, exactly what they were. But that was three chicks that were into Satanism. That's exactly what they look like. They fell into the category that they were supposed to be pretending, and they didn't come out of it for me in that whole movie. They stayed there.
And then every twist that this movie had, every twist, if we want to even call them that, okay, they were just so predictable. Like, you knew which one of the guys was going to live. You knew which girl was going to end up being, oh, I'm not a killer. You know, I can't go along with this. Yeah. We already knew that the main ringleader, that she was the preacher man's daughter.
Right.
Then he shows up and it's like, oh, well, he's clearly involved. Right. You know, so everything about this movie was very predictable. I don't like to sit around and tear things apart needlessly. So again, I'm not saying that this movie is terrible. I'm not saying it's not worth a watch, but again, it's not really original. It's supposed to be seen as a horror comedy.
It is a comedy because the chick's running around with a fucking boat engine. Okay, she's got an outboard motor in the kitchen, taking people out, and I'm like,
yeah. I mean, and there are some funny elements to it.
That was funny. I was like, where the fuck did she got an outboard? And she was in the basement. She got an outboard. Apparently, must have taken the time to gas this thing up. You know, prep it, oil, make sure she's got oil in it. You know, you got to do that. And then, get it prepped up so she can come upstairs and stick it in someone's gut. They
get an A for effort in that department. Yeah. That wasn't original. You don't very often see someone running with boat parts.
Right. And aquatic things are rarely used in horror films unless it's like drowning. You know, other than that, they kind of steer away. And then, or in Friday the 13th, perhaps. But outside of that, you know, you really don't have too many things going on. Like, I don't see people getting hit with a bass boat. You know what I'm saying? Hey, let me pick this up and hit you. You know what I mean? Let me start this gas-powered motor up in the house, and no one will hear it as I come up the stairs creeping, right? No, nobody heard that. You know, but that's
I don't give up. Like, I think a lot of the times when you get at least like other movies, and that's, you know, our final topic that we'll be going into here shortly, with other movies that are heavy on the metal, you know, pun intended.
I got a couple of points there too that I want to cross.
When you have movies like that, like, at least they try to make the music good, maybe. I don't know. And I don't know if that was supposed to be if that was supposed to be part of the comedy. Was that the band that they went to go see?
No, that was not a comedy. And that band, do you know who they were ripping off?
No.
Merciful Fate. I mean,
Oh.
right down to the lyrics, but it was a different song.
Really? Okay.
I'm pretty sure that song is off Melissa, if I'm not mistaken. It's
Was that
going back.
was that supposed to be like maybe a try too hard 80s reference?
Oh, completely. Yeah, they were too. I guess they were too poor. They had no budget to pay for the rights to the song. So they put this. Yeah, they put this like retarded fucking band up there with an idea of the song.
No offense to the band, but it just wasn't very
No,
good.
I mean they were. If you listen to Merciful Fate, they're awesome. They're unfortunately it's black metal, unfortunately to a lot of people, but to me, I don't like black metal for that factor of it that it's black metal, but the music is good. And I never really saw Merciful Fate as black metal, although it's deemed to be black metal. I have always adored their music, and I mean, I picked it up like in seconds. I was like, "Oh my god, that's horrible!"
Really?
Oh man, it was terrible. Then
is it bad? That's what I thought. And you're like, and so you're saying no, it's supposed to be a reference or whatever. So
yeah, oh, totally, it's totally a reference because he was supposed to be, black, demonic, So of course they're going to see that because they're Satanists, But that's not what King Diamond's really about, and B, I mean, it's what he's into, but he doesn't tell you to be into it. Like he doesn't really push it on anybody else.
I do recall the lyrics in the fictional song saying for them to go and kill and to worship Satan and shit like that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Being comedy, I could see that kind of being funny and
I don't think they meant that as a joke. I mean, they were trying to be cool, and it just totally fucking backfired on them, man. I really believe that. Then they're in the van.
Mm-hmm.
All the 3 heavy metal dudes and 3 chicks. They're gonna get busy. We're gonna smoke some shit and get drunk, and we're gonna all get busy. They're gonna do this whole fucking thing, right? They're listening to a fake Van Halen band on the thing. That was supposed to be Jump from Van Halen. If you listen to the movie and go back, listen to the fucking song that's on the radio in that fucking band. It's like a cheap knockoff of Van Halen. They couldn't afford the rights to that one either, I guess.
Wow.
So, but what are these big heavy metal Satanists do? Listen to fucking Van Halen. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be listening to songs. At least put some Motorhead on, man, for Christ's sake. Do something, Not Van Halen, not a cheap knockoff of Van Halen at that. So I think, I think this movie was a pile of shit. Pretty much is where I'm at.
Okay, so you lived that. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I did.
What I've seen in other pop culture references,
right.
Even to me, this seems like a try hard. I don't look back on the 80s with nostalgia like a lot of people do anyway. Right. But I didn't find it to be very 80s. It felt even the way they dressed, the way the jargon and the language that they were using,
right,
and the mannerisms, none of that was 80s to me. None of that had a feel.
They're supposed to be freaking heavy, and this chick was talking about seeing a Def Leppard show, and I'm like, man, you got your shit fucking crossed here, man. You're going from like Merciful Fate to Def Leppard. That is a big stretch, my friend. A big stretch.
It didn't seem like they maybe they didn't do their homework.
I was just going to say that exactly, Stevie. That's exactly what I think.
Yeah, like maybe they didn't do their homework, or maybe the whole fucking point of the whole movie is lost on me. Maybe it's on you. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to totally trash it because I don't like to trash things needlessly unless it really is pure dog shit. You find it to be that. But like I said, again, you lived it. You were there. You know the scene. You know that this was like bullshit.
Yeah.
They were talking like they were concert goers in 2020 and not concert goers in 1980, whatever.
Exactly.
Where the girl comes out of the bathroom and she pulls her hairspray out of her purse and she does the whole, she didn't even have big hair.
Right, right. Your hair was like kind of flat and shit. You
That
know what
was
I mean? It just
noticed where I was like, you couldn't even get the wardrobe or makeup department or whoever does hair and makeup, I guess.
no, they're emulating it. That's all they're doing. They're emulating,
Give, give them bigger hair.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Well, I mean, your hair is flat. It's not going to get any bigger. That's like a guy with a little, a little willy. You can't spray this shit on to make it bigger. You know what I'm saying? Your hair ain't gonna get any fucking bigger than it is. All right, let it go. Stop spraying this shit with big stuff. Right? Well, yeah, she's going crazy with the fucking can, and there ain't dick happening. Why? Because your hair is flat. Okay, if you put hairspray on flat hair. It's just flat hair with hairspray, okay? It ain't gonna get no bigger. Nothing else is gonna happen. Gonna stay flat, okay? I'm just spitballing there, throwing it out there for you. Maybe the producers.
Okay, I'm gonna stand by that. I'll die on that hill. Put a fucking.
I'm going on a rant.
Really, I don't know. Look, maybe the more we talk about it, I don't like the movie so much. I don't
see. I sold you.
It just. Look, it wasn't. If it was funnier, like if the dialogue was better, right. I think I would have maybe enjoyed it more. There was just entirely too much time spent on trying to get the guys out of a pantry when they ran and hid from the girls. There was entirely too much time spent on trying to sell the audience on psycho cult. Crazy bitches as born Christians. There was just too much spent on maybe the wrong things. And again, I don't know, not trying to trash talk, but I don't know if maybe something was lost on me. But
the build up, it was a long build up, very long build up. And it kind of didn't meet the bang for the buck when they got to the house. I mean, the guy got stabbed in the neck. But I mean, if they were who they say they were, and they were, a satanic cult that killed, they would have been hanging upside down with their fucking neck slit. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have been pretty.
There was like really no follow through. Like they were like, oh, we want to make it seem like a cult is doing this, like Satanists are doing this. Well, like you said, Satanists are going to go all in. They're not going to just
stab you in the neck almost by accident. It was like. It's like she didn't mean to do it. She accidentally stabbed. Oh my goodness, stabbed them in the neck. But that was like the only horror gore section. And unless you fell, and listen, I'm a roofer. Okay, I know heights. If that girl fell from that height, her head would have been backwards and all over the goddamn sidewalk like a crushed melon. All right, she didn't get up like fucking, like it's all of a sudden she's Jason. She's gone and shit. She's Michael Myers. She disappears from the scene. And there she is in front of the car. They got
in her, I guess.
They had parts of her brain and hair on the car, like she hit a deer and shit, like they hit a deer. That was pretty funny. I thought that was funny. So I did walk away with a laugh or two.
Then they decide, okay, so at the end, then they decide they're gonna run away together. And
with the fishing box.
Yes, the girl and the guy, they stole some. That's the other big thing that came out. The preacher man was stealing money from the church.
No.
What? Oh, my word. But you had that trope as well in there. But then we're supposed to believe, that he's not, he doesn't notice the money's missing. And they're just driving around covered in blood with blood and brains all over the grill of the SUV.
Right, the guy at the store didn't say a shit, didn't. She's asking for all these medical products, right?
Yeah,
it came at a small store like that out in the middle of nowhere. It came to 53 something. I remember the guy saying, I'm like, for a bottle of iodine and some bandages? Come on, man. What the hell?
This was the 80s. Was shit expensive? I don't remember. Back
then that was cheap, man. It's cheap. It was relative to the buck back then. 1,500 was a lot of scratch. You know what I mean? Could buy a lot with it.
Not to change the subject, but I just looked at my phone, and one of the lurkers is Bree, and she's watching us on her TV, so she can't chat. So she
hello, Bree.
She said hi.
My eyes look really big on the big screen.
But So I guess bottom line is it really isn't a very good movie, huh?
You know what? I don't. I feel bad when I trash a movie, because the
I
producer.
do too. I really do. I know goes into
I feel like I'm making someone cry somewhere. But you know what? To me,
we're
it seemed like
in.
a bunch of people actors from from 2000 being directed by people from 2020. Nobody had really a clue like what it was really about or what it was really like. They were close. I mean, I'll give them that. They were close. They hit a couple of spots right there. Even with the fake Merciful Fate shit, it was all right. I'm just like, I'm sitting here like, hey, you're ripping them off. I got mad. You know what I mean? I got angry about it. But then, you realize they're attempting to recreate something they know nothing about, which in that respect, they didn't do such a bad job. Not saying it's any milestone to have lived, then, but it was a great time to be around for metal. It really was. And right. I'm sorry, our buddy in the chat room had mentioned Merciful Fate, and I agree. Merciful Fate has always been one of my most favorite melodic black metal bands.
Adrian said a lot of bands took imagery from Merciful Fate.
Yeah. Adrian knows, Merciful Fate like I do, and they were always a staple favorite for me. I've always, from the first album, I remember back in the early '80s when I first heard it. It was just like something so foreign and weird because you have these really, a heavy set of lyrics,
right?
With really like some of the stuff is actually upbeat and melodic, and it's just like what a contrast.
That's what Adrian says is that a lot of the black metal bands are really melancholic and misanthropic. And
yes.
I'm out of my element. I don't know a lot of black metal. Never listened to a lot of black metal, so
I'm not really a black metal fan
here this evening.
I'm not a black metal fan per se, but I enjoy some of the music. I'm not into satanic stuff really. Back when I was a kid, we did stuff, and I had some really weird things go on, and maybe that's for another show. That was a necrophile, and we could do a show on that.
Wait, what? Did you say you were a necrophile?
I was not personally a necrophiliac. I was in a band called Necrophile.
Oh, motherfucker, do not be all up on here being like, I used to have sex with dead people.
Yeah, I used to go in the cemetery and pick them up, and hey, it's my choice, whatever I want. Blonde.
I was really listen.
If I dupe the guy at the gate, give him like $50, I get 2 for a night. Hey, that's a steal, you know what I mean?
Listen, I'm not the one married to you, so I'm not going to judge or kink shame. But
my brother was
I was like, what a time to tell me this.
By the way, I screw dead people. Okay, I just wanted to chuck that out there. Get a family result. See how it was for everybody. How does everybody feel about that? Yeah, well, no, not really. I like live women like my wife. I'm very happy with that, and I'm
stupid.
Okay with that. Yeah.
Even with like headphones on, like I still can't manage to hear anything properly. So, whatever. But no, that was a good laugh for us. And
you say you're a sweater fucker? What?
I think now's a good time. We're a little past the halfway point. Now's a good time to segue. And Sean in the chat said that most heavy metal themed horror movies have not been good. And we are about to get to that, friend. We are about to get to that, ladies and gentlemen. The highly anticipated heavy metal and horror segment.
But I'm going to go all the way back with this to the very beginning, the very father.
My list is a lot shorter. I'm going to let you kick it off, and I'm going to see if any of the stuff that I put on my list is on yours.
All right. To start with, if you go all the way back to the very beginning of time with this, and there may be actually there were ties to Black Sabbath changing their name to Black Sabbath after a film. in the late 60s, but that possibly could have been the very first, but it wasn't. They weren't, their music wasn't in the film. That's how they chose their name. The father to me of all this mess, where metal and rock and metal were married to horror, or at least scary movies, was Kiss Meets the Phantom of 1976. It was absolutely the worst movie ever made, ever, bar none. And Kiss knows it, but it is a
I found that on YouTube today, and I said, "What the fuck is this?"
It is absolutely a cult classic, not only among Kiss fans, but a lot of metalheads as well. That is just a cult classic. If you want to deem parts of the movie heavy metal, 1981, I believe, or 82. It's a cartoon movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a staple.
We talked about Love, Death, and Robots and heavy metal on a show. Remember?
Yeah. So the movie Heavy Metal has some horror scenes in it.
Oh, for sure.
Not many, but that's probably another one of my favorite. One that's not well known, Vicious Lips from '86. Yeah, that's another old timer. On my list, I have Hard Rock Zombies, which
I've never heard of that either. What?
Which is probably the second worst movie ever. Guys are walking around with literally Johnson's baby powder on their fucking face. It sounds like someone stepped on their foot. You know what I mean?
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was a bad one. I mean, I could go on and on and on. There's a few. I got a few hundred of them here. Wild Hero.
How about I name a couple on my list, and then we'll see if they're on yours. Okay, so I'll work backwards. I don't know what came out first because I didn't really look at the years. But I do remember. Okay, now Sean earlier today told me about a movie because I've never seen it. I've heard of it. Trick or Treat.
Oh yeah, fucking awesome, Sean knows. Sean knows what it is. Trick or Treat was based in the 80s, man. That was a killer flick.
Now, Trick or Treat is about backmasking. Playing for people who don't know, it's playing the record backwards to get an evil spirit or satanic or whatever. I looked up the whole premise of Trick or Treat, and I saw that backmasking was a big plot element to that, which made me have to put an honorable mention on this list for The Gate.
Awesome movie.
Did you put The Gate on your list? Technically, I said, was The Gate on your list? Because technically, no, The Gate is not considered a heavy metal horror movie, but metal and backmasking plays a big plot part in the beginning.
Yeah, it does.
So the Dark Book or whatever.
I would consider The Gate a metal horror. Yeah. It's in that. It's in that realm. It's definitely.
It's not a metal theme or metal or rock themed movie, but yeah, Sean said The Gate uses that gimmick. And then fun fact about The Gate, I don't know, it was like maybe 5 years ago or something. I sold The Gate on DVD to Sean for $1.
It's not even worth $1. You know what I mean?
I don't even know.
Not even worth they printed it on, but you know what? Some of these movies are just classics. You know, no matter how hokey they are, you look back at them and it's just like, wow.
Looking back on it, I remember The Gate with a real great fondness.
Yeah.
Sean said it was a fucking steal, bro.
Yeah, that is very true.
I don't even know what I paid for it. I definitely probably lost money, but I sold it to him for $1. So fun fact about The Gate right there. The next movie on the list, I don't know if this is on yours, New Year's Evil.
Yeah, I remember that.
That one is more hardcore punk.
Yeah, that's more of a punk thing.
Yeah. So, and if you haven't seen New Year's Evil, that one is about it's kind of like remember, I don't know if they still do it, but back in the day, MTV used to have their New Year's Eve bash. So it's kind of like it was kind of like an MTV New Year's Eve bash, and this serial killer calls and says that he's going to kill somebody at midnight in every time zone or some shit. Which, looking back on that, I'm like, what? How's that possible? But whatever. It was the 80s. So that one's on my list. So it's a typical 80s slasher with plenty of cheese. I don't think I have anything from the 90s on my list. Do you?
Honey, what?
Any rock or metal themed movies from the 90s?
I have up to about 88. Black Roses was a Canadian flick. That was pretty. That was really just bad. The town was warding off evil, and they were like
that evil.
rubber skeletons, and it was bad. That was just a bad flick.
Strangely,
I mean, if you want to go,
Strangeland was 2000.
Huh?
So Sean said Strangeland was 98. I have Strangeland on my list, but I thought it was 2000. Okay, so yes, Strangeland was the 90s, man.
Yeah, that was in the 90s. If you want to go, further up, you got Devil's Candy, and a lot of what's his name's films are. Oh my God, Rob Zombie's films have a lot of metal in them.
Yes,
you want to come current.
That was a note that I put here. I said, do Rob Zombie's movies count? Because they're not really metal themed, but I mean, he's a metal.
Well,
icon.
they are. So, I think they're metal themed. I would definitely say that they were. Trick or Treat came out in '86, by the way.
Yeah,
that was.
Let me say though that probably out of every metal or rock or punk themed film, Strangeland is by far, hands down, the fucking greatest. I love it. I look back on that movie and I would watch it right now and probably still love it. I think it is just, it blends. So Strangeland, for anybody who hasn't seen it, is a Dee Snider film. And he stars, I believe he not only directed it, but did he write it as well?
He starred in it. Yep.
Starred, wrote, and directed Strangeland. The soundtrack is crazy. It's got everything from like old shit from the 80s to newer, well, at the time, newer stuff from Marilyn Manson. But so it's about this guy. It was when chat rooms were first like a thing. And basically this girl is in a chat room and there's this guy, Captain Howdy. And that was his screen name. And he preys on young women in chat rooms and then abducts them. And he's a serial killer. And that's the short and sweet of what the movie's about. It's really great. And, go ahead, say your piece on it.
Captain Howdy was actually a reference from a Twisted Sister song.
Okay.
It was the name of one of the songs off of, oh God, it's going back. I can't remember the name of the albums.
I don't know.
I think it's Stay Hungry. Pretty sure it was off of Stay Hungry. Anyway, for those of us in that era, we knew Dee Snider as the front man of Twisted Sister and nothing more. When the PMRC hit, we saw him react in court and realized that he was actually very bright, very smart guy. But nobody knew he could act and act well. When he, came out with Strangeland, it was a shock to everybody that it was as good as it was. It was probably, for him, one of the more prolific things he'll ever do. It was definitely unexpected of him at that time, of that, genre of film, with him starring, and it was just like, what,
Great.
everybody just kind of, drew back and like, D. Schneider fucking doing what? He's acting. Come on, because we saw in the '80s a lot of stars tried to do different things, and it never really seemed to pan out. But he really pulled it off as a sicko, man. He was fucking scary. He really was scary.
And the fact that like they brought in the whole like body modification aspect to it, and the underground sex club, and then there was the whole like manhunt aspect where the detectives were trying to find him. So it was a really good detective thriller as well. I mean, I think all around Strangeland really ticks all the boxes of a great fucking film. It really does, especially for the 90s, because the 90s was kind of when that genre of hunting the serial killer. I mean, you had Seven, all sorts of other movies like that, Suspect Zero, Resurrection. There was a shit ton of string of serial killer movies that kind of came out in the late 90s that were fucking good. And I think Strangeland holds a candle. It stands up with the good ones.
Absolutely. There's no question in my mind. I mean, that was a very outstanding movie for its time and for the, for the cast. I mean, nobody would believe D. Schneider would act, but he was just like him. He was killing it. He killed it. He really did. He knocked it out of the park. Very believable character, very scary character. And nobody saw that coming. So that is definitely, one for the books. There's no question. Other movies like I remember other vampire movies like Bordello of Blood. That was but a lot of those movies were based on heavy metal. There was a lot of heavy metal in them. Not based on heavy metal.
Now, hold on. Speaking of vampires, there is a vampire movie on my list that is heavy metal themed or new metal. Okay, let's be clear. Queen of the Damned.
Oh God, jeez. Well, that's now you're getting an Anne Rice. I have I'm a huge follower. I know I read every single one of those books. She's Akasha, the Queen of the Damned, and she is the mother. She is a mother vampire of all. And there was a lot of newer metal involved in that. Yes.
So I wrote a couple of fun facts about that movie because I enjoyed that movie. It came out when I was in high school. And that was like the string of like teen driven movies. I feel like they were really pushing for the teen and like early 20s audience. So you have Jonathan Davis from Korn is the vocalist who voices Lestat, because the story of it, Lestat awakens and is in a band to try to get a following, blah 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 blah, whatever. This, I'm sure everyone knows the story of Queen of the Damned. But supposedly the reason why Jonathan Davis, he only does the vocals for the film and not the soundtrack is because Sony didn't allow him to. He was not allowed to do vocals in anything else except for Korn, which I find absolutely insane. So he got his buddies, Wayne Static, David Jay Gordon, and Chester Bennington did the vocals on the soundtrack, which I never knew why, but I read that today. I found out that it was because Sony would not allow Jonathan Davis to sing on the soundtrack.
It was a contract discrepancy. They didn't want him doing it. They said no, they wouldn't allow it. And I thought that was odd too, but he vocalized him great. He really did. And the premise of the movie was that he wanted to awaken after he woke up. He wanted to awaken all the vampire community and let them know that they don't have to live underground anymore and to show themselves. And he wanted to kind of rule the world with it. And Queen Akasha took him a step further, gave him the tools to do it. And in the end, he saw the difference and realized that she was like, that was the mother of all vampires. She was like nuts. I'm a huge Anne Rice fan. It's one of my guilty pleasures.
And I think for like the cheese of the early 2000s, Queen of the Damned, I think is a decent rock themed horror film as well. You know what I mean?
The actor that played Akasha was a singer.
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah, she
Yep.
passed away just following that movie.
Yeah, very shortly
They
after.
almost, yeah, like within a month
I think so.
of shooting.
I don't really remember.
It was right after the movie. I don't even
that was
think
really
she saw
sad, though. I
release.
remember when she passed away.
Yeah, very
But
promising actress.
let's not get sad. But Adrian says Demon Knight had a few good metal tunes in it as well.
Demon Knight, I remember Demon Knight.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a great movie.
I tried to only include rock and horror themed movies on this list. I mean, obviously, horror and heavy metal go way the fuck back. I mean, they've been married for decades upon decades. I mean, we would have to have an entire other show to go into great soundtracks, which that's a topic idea right there. Best metal soundtracks through the years. We could do that one.
Movie.
So speaking of soundtracks, only because this was based on a true story, I have Lords of Chaos on my list as well.
Yeah.
Which we've discussed. That was the story of Mayhem, right?
Yeah, right. The whole soundtrack was based on Mayhem's music and was mostly Mayhem.
The movie is based on.
Yeah.
What's the lead singer's name again?
Oh my God, you're killing me.
Don't ask me. I expected you to know.
Somebody in the chat room will come flying out with it, I'm sure.
Somebody
my memory.
Who the lead singer of Mayhem? What's his name?
My memory is so short these days.
I mean, he was. Then there's let's see, I've got 2 more on my list that I wanted to go over. One is probably one of the better like hardcore punk themed films is Green Room. And I think Green Room counts because
Euronymous, sorry.
Oh, Euronymous, yep, that's his name.
Sorry. Thank you, Sean.
Weird. I knew it was weird, but I was gonna say like Eunice or something, but I was pretty close.
I got chemo brain, so I can't remember everything that I remembered when I remembered it.
Yeah, and I have mom brain, so like together we make a
between us, we got one functioning brain.
I think that. Have you ever seen Green Room?
Yeah.
Okay, so Green Room, I think counts because I mean it has a metal soundtrack. It's got hard punk. It's a bunch of kids killing Nazis. It's a fucking good movie. That's as metal as it gets. Who's on? I'm trying to think of who's on the soundtracks. I think Slayer's on the soundtrack. I know they were in the movie. Corpus Rodus is on the soundtrack. So it's definitely a rock themed film that I think qualifies. But very hardcore punk more so.
Right.
I think that is one of the better movies. That I think also that was Anton Yelchin's last film before he passed away. Another that died very young, and his was a horrible death too. But that's definitely a fucking great movie. It's one of the better movies I've seen that's rock themed. And American Satan, which I really enjoyed. And apparently enough people also enjoyed American Satan enough that they are making a spin-off series called Paradise City. It blanked out for a second.
I'll definitely watch that.
Yeah, I mean they're making a spin-off series. So Ash Avildsen of Sumerian Records, American Satan is his baby. So obviously the soundtrack features prominently bands from Sumerian Records. But even the main character and 2 of the band members in the fictional band, which off the top of my head I can't think of what the hell they were called, but so 2 of the band members in the movie are band they're musicians in real life as well. One of them is from Black Veil Brides and the other one is from Asking Alexandria. So that is definitely a rock and metal themed movie right there. Satan to become a famous metal band, I think is awesome. And I'm very much looking forward to Paradise City when that comes out. But with fucking COVID, who knows when shit's gonna come out now? I mean, everything's being pushed back, man. It sucks.
I'm still waiting on Hill House, man. That was like, one of the series that I really enjoyed. I mean, I really loved Hill House.
Dude,
that was a great.
And then my final title on the list was Deathgasm, which that is so corny. Was that on your list as well?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yep.
But it was, to me, it's worth it. It's worth a watch if metal's your thing, especially like it's quirky, it's offbeat. It's out of New Zealand. It's worth a watch, and it's definitely worth a mention. Is it the best movie? No. But I think it's funny because you've got a cult, you've got, again, backmasking, you've got Satanism, you've got a little bit.
You got a guy named Ricky Daggers in it. So I mean, any movie with a dude named Ricky Daggers, I mean, how cool is that? Hey, I'm fucking Ricky Daggers, dude. Okay, that's a cool flick.
Yeah, it's a cute movie, and I mean, I don't know if you really would call it cute. I thought it was.
Ricky Daggers, dude.
Look at Deathgasm, and then look at We Summon the Darkness. Out of the two, what's the better movie?
Definitely not We Summon the Dog Shit. No question. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just horrible. Fucking horrible.
I don't like this movie. It's so weird.
It's weird too, because I usually I love everything. You know what I mean? I'm really not that big of a critic usually.
Yeah, you're usually the positive one. But it seems like in the chat, Sean says that Green Room was excellent. And it seems like that our opinions are echoed in the chat. I don't think anybody has any disagreement. And no one spoke up in defense of We Summon the Darkness either. So
nobody will, man. That's just horrible.
Unanimous that it's a pretty
horrible, terrible.
Lucky that you can steal your friend's Netflix subscription and watch it, and you don't have to pay for it, I guess.
Yeah, don't buy that movie, man. Don't, because that is just like I wouldn't sit if you paid me to watch that again. I wouldn't sit there and watch that.
Look,
I mean, $1 million maybe, but
okay, it's not.
60 bucks a candy bar and some coffee. I'm your guy. I got that. I'm on it. I'll watch the movie. I don't come cheap though. All right, I'm not a cheap date there.
$60 and
don't
a
forget
candy.
I don't want to forget. I don't want to leave out last word. I don't want to leave out the Evil Dead movies because there's a shit ton of fucking metal in there, man.
And Return of the Living Dead. You can't forget that one either. No, Return of the Living Dead was very much metal and punk, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah.
We have reached the hour here.
Yes, we have.
The show flew by tonight, huh?
I know. We had a lot to talk about. I think a lot of good stuff. I went through my list. I don't know if you had any more titles on your list that you wanted to go over.
Off the top of my head, I got thousands of them. If I could remember them half the time, but no, I'm good. I got everything out that I thought was point of interest. You know what I mean? Anything that I thought, had relevance, I brought up. So
good
we
stuff.
got it all out.
Yeah, thank you everyone, as usual, for tuning into the show. We had some repeats in the chat. Our faithful few that come back every week, we thank you so much. We appreciate it. And for the new people that joined in tonight, maybe this is your first time watching. Thank you. We hope you subscribed. So make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, and don't be a stranger. Don't be afraid to hit us up in the chat here. As usual, visit horrormetalsounds.com or at HM Sounds on Twitter, your one-stop shop for all things horror and metal.
We are. We're cool. That's my name.
Follow Joe on Instagram and check him out on Facebook. You can always there. And then, of course, I am the Apaco Taco on Instagram and Apaco Taco, not Talker, on Twitter. And find me on Facebook as well. You can follow my author page. And thank you so much, guys, again, genuinely, for tuning into the show. And send us your ideas for topics, thoughts, anything like that you want to see going forward.
Or money. You can send us a lot of money too. Would be cool. Be happy to take that. Coffee. We love coffee. Right,
Wine.
Steven? We love coffee. Love it.
Coffee, wine. I prefer red, a nice red. But
or coffee, or coffee's good. That's good too. Yeah, we love that too.
A good topic that we kind of might have accidentally stumbled upon for next time, or shortly after that. No, Joe, not coffee, and not Sasquatch.
Squatch.
I had to bring it up. You went a whole show without bringing it up, but I think a good topic for another is going to be, best soundtrack.
The Conjuring.
I brought it up already. It's too late. You can't bring it up. I already did it. Anyway, guys, cool. We have reached the end of the show. Take it easy and keep it creepy.